Knuckle Fighting Championship makes its Alabama debut Friday, April 30th. Watch as knockout artists Josh the Hammer Burns and Frank Tate knuckle up in a heavyweight main event. And BKFC vet Marcel Stamps prepares for war with the undefeated Marine Mike Richmond. Plus 8 more bare knuckle fights. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 17, Friday, April 30th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on the Bare Knuckle TV app. Download it now at bkfc.com.
What's up, y'all? Combat Sports World. It's yours truly, Reggie Eaz-E, Educated Hands Barnett Jr., pound for pound #1 in the BKFC, #1. Well, they changed the weight class, so I guess now I'm a bantamweight in the world. So y'all know what it is. We're getting ready to do easy picks. We have a card coming up, BKFC 17, coming to you this Friday, April 30th, live from Birmingham, Alabama. First legally sanctioned bare knuckle event in Alabama. So you know that the card is going to be absolutely fire. And I'm super excited about these fights. But before we get started, I give a shout out to my sponsors at Gordon Customs. We just got our brand new headbands in. We got our brand new face mask in. And y'all know this is my absolute favorite, my Lucky Bare Knuckle headband. But I'm going to take this off because I definitely want to see if I can get into this thing. Go ahead and throw one of these freshies on my head. I hope it goes on straight. Ooh, that feels great. You know, so definitely check me out. I just went live on millions.co. We got merchandise, live streams, my house sports gear. Definitely shout out to Bare Knuckle Freak for bringing me on in Tiger Life. I appreciate all y'all's support. So let's get into these picks. The first fight on the card is listed as no other than my buddy. I am a fan of his through and through, Mr. Tom Shoaf versus Nathan Mitchell. We all know what Mr. Shoaf brings to the table. He's coming to fight. He's got excellent boxing skills, and every time we see him come out, he progresses as a bare knuckle fighter. Nathan, I did a little bit of research. He's got some MMA experience, but this is his bare knuckle debut against somebody who is proven to be a bare knuckle warrior with, I wouldn't say an extensive amount of bare knuckle experience. So, of course, I'm not riding against Tom Shoaf at all. You know, I got your back, buddy, 100%. So I expect you to go in there and take care of business. That is my pick for that fight. Our next fight is Ryan Jones versus Robert Washington. Ryan has one previous bare knuckle fight. Washington, we've seen him come out time and time again, get punched in the face, and then lay on the ground and not get back up. So hopefully he'll come out and have a better showing, prove why he deserves to be in the bare knuckle squared circle, or why he is what we think he is, which is an opponent. And if I offended you, I meant it. Next on the card, we have my buddy, my pal, Mr. Rusty Crowder. Me and Rusty had the pleasure of sharing the squared circle together for the bare knuckle 135-pound tournament, and we all know the result of that fight. Rusty ran. He's came out. He had a spectacular fight in his last showing. I have to give him credit and due for that. I think the level of competition was more amped for him, and now he's fighting Daniel Gary, who's making his bare knuckle debut but has some combat experience and is hungry. So we're gonna see if Rusty can stave off this young man with his bare knuckle experience, or gonna succumb to the pressure again, because I know this young man is coming to fight. But I do believe that Mr. Gary has a surprise for him, so I'm gonna go against Rusty in this fight, and I'm picking Daryl Gary. With all due respect, you know, it's all love, Rusty, all love. Our next fight that we're moving on to is a buddy of mine, my pal. I had the absolute honor and privilege to be in his camp to see hand-to-hand, I guess, per se, you know, how things were done overseas in European bare knuckle, and then watch his transition into actual American style bare knuckle fighting and be a part of his training process. And I'm super excited to watch Dimitri Angelini make his BKFC debut. He's fighting Ronnie Rogers, who has a wealth of MMA experience. He is a veteran in the MMA game and does know how to fight, you know. So this isn't just an easy, he's going to come in here and wash him out. But I do have the utmost confidence in Dimitri and his ability and his skills. Not only what he learned since he's been here, but what he brought with him from Italy. And so, of course, I'm riding with my team, Grindstone all the way. So, yeah, that's going to be an exciting fight either way. And I'm just excited to see him get that W. The next fight that we have on our card is Anthony Reddick versus Raymond Locker. I did a little bit of research on these guys. They both bring respective little bit of, let's see, Locker has 4 boxing matches, and Reddick has, I think, 14 or 15 MMA fights. So, I guess it's going to be Locker's boxing against Reddick's MMA experience. This is always, one of the classic BKFC matchups, MMA fighter versus boxer, and who can go out there and impose their will and use their game the best. So I'm excited to see how this fight turns out. And then we move on to another friend and buddy of mine, another BKFC veteran, Chris Sorrow. We know that he's coming off of an upset loss in his last showing at his last BKFC fight, but of course Chris has been working hard, training with some of the other top guys in the BKFC. Definitely shout out to Elvin Brito. I love you, bro. You bringing them guys out to Puerto Rico and giving them the free game. It's what this sport is about, and so I know Chris is looking for some redemption. Now, the only concern for me in this fight is I did some research on this guy, and please forgive me if I butcher your name. It's Ezatullah Kakar. I think that's how you pronounce it. I ain't no announcer, so if I butchered it, I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all know me. I just give it to y'all real off the hip. And there's a little bit of mystery behind this guy. He's definitely got some fighting experience. He's been a few rough spots in his life, and he is coming to fight. He's coming to make a statement, and he's coming to make a name for himself. So it's going to be Chris's hunger to redeem himself against, like I said, this little bit of mystery surrounding what Kakar is going to bring to the squared circle. And I'm excited, actually, to really, really see this. And so we had matched up on the card originally, Tate versus Kalmas. But because of a falling out further up on the card, Frank Tate is no longer fighting Kalmas. It will be no one other than Bobby O'Bannon stepping back in the squared circle with a really quick turnaround, coming off a really tough upset against the former heavyweight champion Arnold Adams. And he will be fighting Kalmas. And I think this is a better matchup fight for Kalmas. He's got some boxing experience, but this is his bare knuckle debut, and we know that Bobby has some power and he has some experience. I'm not going to go against Bobby O'Bannon either. His wife is an absolute sweetheart. She held my hand while I got my stitches at the last fight, because y'all know I can get punched in the face all day long, but I don't like needles. And I don't care if y'all judge me on it. So I'm Team O'Bannon all the way, and I hope he comes back out and redeems himself from his last performance. And so now we move on to the main card, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And this fight is important to me because who I consider one of the forefathers, but also outcast of bare knuckle, Lorenzo Hunt, is the juggernaut, is coming back, and I feel like this is his test. This is going to be the toughest test of his career. He's fighting Joshua D-Day Dyer. We know that Josh can fight, we know that Josh is hungry, and we know that Josh ain't just going to lay down and take the ass whooping that Lorenzo has been dishing out to everybody else. And so I'm excited to see this clash, but at the end of the day, I'm Team Hunt all day, every day, ride or die, period. And so, of course, I'm going with the juggernaut. Do I expect this to be an easy fight for him? Absolutely not. In my last interview, he told me, he was talking about some of the things that had happened in the fight and me having to push myself and bite down. I'm expecting to have to see him do that in this fight. And as long as he can stick with his game plan and do those things, I feel like he'll come out with the W. And either way, it's going to be an exciting fight, and there's going to be probably a lot of blood in that fight. Then we move on to our co-main event, Marcel Stamps. We haven't seen him in a while. He's coming back from his last fight, was against the current BKFC heavyweight champion, Joey Beltran. He was the challenger and came up short and didn't accomplish his goal as winning the title, but he's looking to come back and start his path back to getting and obtaining that belt and getting himself another title shot. And his task at hand is Mike Richmond. And I did my research. I watched a couple of Richmond's fights. This guy is a tough SOB. Not always the best skill in the world, but man, does he have heart and can he fight? And so this is going to be a tough test for Marcel. I honestly believe that it's going to see, if he's really, truly, truly built for this bare knuckle sport. We know that Marcel can fight, and I take absolutely nothing away from him, what he's accomplished in MMA and what he's done in bare knuckle too. But I feel like this is going to be a test for him, and I don't feel like Richmond is coming to lay down. I feel like Richmond's coming to try to lay Marcel down and make a name for him in the sport. And so it's going to be a clash of titans, and we all know what happens when titans clash in that squared circle. It's just nothing but thunder and rumbling, so I'm excited. All right, and our main event for this fight is going to be, like I said earlier, Frank Tate is no longer fighting Callums. He has stepped up and will be fighting none one other than Mr. Josh Burns in the heavyweight main event. And we know that Josh Burns is hungry, that he's looking towards who's going to be the winner of Shoemaker versus Beltran, and that he's going to be next in line for a title shot. So he's going in there to execute. Frank Tate is a heavy hitter, but he's a one-punch guy, so I hope he lands his shot, and if not, we all know how it's going to result. Josh Burns is going in there to run over him. So it's going to be an exciting fight either way. Both of these guys bring power, both of them bring action. So it's going to be a stellar card. I'm super excited. Yes, the king, myself, Bare Knuckle, will be in the house in attendance for the fans. Y'all know I'm the people's champ, so it's going to be an awesome night. So I'm super stoked for it. Y'all make sure that y'all tune in. If you haven't already downloaded it, make sure you download that BKTV app. If you haven't already done it, please go check out my fan page. Hit the like button. Check me out on Instagram, _EAZ_E. Check out my YouTube, Educated Hands. And we're going to keep continuing to build this legacy. Mr. Chump Champ, you know who you are. We will keep going through this, man. Fight me or vacate. Plain as that. And if you fight anybody else before you fight me, you will be named from now on Duckwin instead of Datwin. So, easy out. The king has spoken.
Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship makes its Alabama debut Friday, April 30th. Watch as knockout artist Josh the Hammer Burns and Frank Tate knuckle up in a heavyweight main event. And BKFC vet Marcel Stamps prepares for war with the undefeated Marine Mike Richmond. Plus 8 more bare knuckle fights. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 17, Friday, April 30th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on the Bare Knuckle TV app. Download it now at bkfc.com.